This past game against the 49ers really got to showcase where the Giants are as a team, as a franchise, and what the Giants should do in the future. Let's talk about it. What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. Before we start this video, as always, make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Smash that like button. Also, hit that hype button before you leave a comment and tell me what you thought about this video and the topic of this video. And be sure to check out Sleeper for a 100% match on your deposit up to $100 if you use the promo code 27 Squad. And of course, terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper for more details. All right. Now, I know the Giants have had a bad season right now. I know my eyes are a little red. Wasn't crying. 2, I'm not high. All right? I'm just saying. I had a long day of work. I don't know why my eyes are looking like this. Maybe I'm just really tired. I don't know. I don't feel tired, but I guess I am. Apparently, Jordan Renan on his podcast said that Joe Schoen his position is a lot more safer in 2026 than Brian Daboll, and I think that's an absolute asinine statement, and it's one that the Giants would make. If I'm being honest, I think they have it totally opposite. Joe Schoen should lose his job before Brian Daboll, but that's just me. I understand that people may want them as a package deal, so if Joe Schoen doesn't stay, neither does Brian Daboll, and I'm okay with that. This past game against the Niners, I said this in the pregame. I said this on the Young Guns podcast. If you didn't know, we're still doing that. Young Guns podcast. A lot of people don't know that we're still doing it every Tuesday night at 8:35 p.m. on the Hubs channel. And I said this multiple times. This game against the 49ers is going to tell a lot about where the Giants are as a franchise or as a team right now, as an organization. Because the Niners are in the same exact spot as the Giants right now. And the difference is one major thing: roster management and coaching. The San Francisco 49ers have an all backup defensive group. Like, I'm talking across the board. Their entire defense are full of backups. And they're still able to play productive football and stop offenses. On the other side, they've had Mac Jones starting the majority of the season, and they have like no wide receivers at all, and they still find a way to get the job done. Ironically enough, Christian McCaffrey's not hurt, but still. But we saw the 49ers absolutely wipe the floor with the New York Giants, and it wasn't, you would think that CMC really just destroyed the Giants, which he did, but it was really anybody that the 49ers called on to make a play, whether it be Kendrick Bourne, Jawan Jennings, Mac Jones, CMC, Brian Robinson. It did not matter. George Kittle had a couple of catches as well, and constantly the Giants defense was just not able to pick it up, and that's in large part of where the defense is right now. This front seven is extremely talented. There is only one injury on that front seven right now, and that is Micah McFadden, who they lost in week 1. They've had the entire season, and they've been a healthy front seven, and they can't force any pressure because, one, scheming, but the players aren't giving their all as well. They're starting to give up, and I don't necessarily blame them. I mean, look at where the state of the team is right now. And then you look at the back end, you have guys that are practice squad guys that we just signed off of other teams' practice squad, who we drafted in the 7th round, and a first-round bust out there, along with 2 terrible safeties in Dane Belton and Tyler Nubin, and the Giants don't do anything about it. This is why the Giants are just straight up lying to you. They're trying to deceive you. They're trying to fool you into thinking that because Jackson Dart is the hope, that means that everybody else will come together, and don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about Brian Daboll. Don't worry about Shane Bowen. Don't worry about Joe Schoen. A lot of people are shifting the blame away from Joe Schoen. What, because he drafted Jackson Dart? I mean, are we serious right now? Look at the rest of the track record that Joe Schoen has, and it's not great. Now, I have always been one to say, I'm going to preface this right now, I actually like Brian Daboll. Ironically enough, I do not believe the Brian Daboll is majorly at fault here. Now, will the blame head on him? Absolutely. He is the guy in charge. He is the head coach. He is in charge of this team winning games. It's his job, right? So if the Brian Daboll loses his job, It's unfortunate, but I really do like Brian Daboll, and I know some people do as well, just don't like to admit it because they don't know how to justify it. But I do like Brian Daboll. That it is what it is. And I do like Mike Kafka. I think the biggest issue to me is Joe Schoen. I think the biggest issue to me is Joe Schoen. There is no excuse. If you see what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing right now, they are one of the best rosters in football, yet they're still making trades, especially in season. They traded for Tank Bigsby, and when they have A.J. Dillon and Saquon Barkley. They traded for Jair Alexander when they have Quinyon Mitchell and a guy who could play cornerback in Cooper DeJean. Then they just traded for Jalen Phillips when they already have a strong enough defensive line. They constantly are making adjustments, constantly are making upgrades to keep themselves in that winning column, in the winning culture. They want to keep getting guys in here, and when they don't feel like a position is playing up to satisfactory, they go ahead and make a move. You had the Eagles trading for Jair Alexander and Jalen Phillips in the same week, while Joe Schoen is kicking back his feet in his office, knowing that Deonte Banks and Corey Black, a 7th-round rookie who the Giants initially cut, starting for them this past week against the 49ers. With guys out there catching passes from Jackson Dart, like Jalen Hyatt, who doesn't get targeted, but he still a starter, but doesn't get targeted. He has 3 catches on the season. They all came in one game. 3 catches for 17 yards. Then you have little Jordan Humphrey, who's on and off of the practice squad, elevated on the roster. And then you just had a new addition, Ray McLeod, who they just brought on, who's starting already. Bo Collins was out there. He got hurt, so I don't know how they're going to replace him. Gunnar Olszewski caught a touchdown last week against the Niners. And, of course, Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton, Darius Slayton is like reverting back to his Auburn self, apparently. This is the roster that Joe Schoen is just set on just leaving it that way. Just having tryouts with guys that I've never even heard of before, like they're gonna make a difference. But you see Howie Roseman constantly making moves to upgrade this roster. I'm not saying to go out there and make splash moves because the Giants are in no position to be doing that at the state of their team is in due to Joe Schoen. That is Joe Schoen's fault, right? We're in year 4 right now, and this roster is still in shambles. And it's crazy to say that this roster has looked the best it's ever been since Joe Schoen had control of it. I'm not saying to make a splash move or anything, but do something instead of having tryouts for random players no one's ever heard of and signing a couple of on there just for them not to be utilized. And that also falls on coaching as well. You got to use these players to the best of their ability. And I really feel like for what Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka have been given, they've been doing the most with it. I'm sorry. I cannot blame this on Kafka or Brian Daboll. They are tasked with finding ways to win, and that is their job. Do not get me wrong. Like I said, it is a fireable offense to not win games. I get it, right? But look what Brian Daboll is working with. Okay, let's look to the defensive side of the football. That should be one of the best front sevens in football right now. It should be. It's not even close. They are dead. And I don't think they're dead last anymore because the Bengals just, what the hell? They are almost dead last in rush yards allowed in the NFL and yards per carry. Dead last by a large margin, okay? The Bengals are and the Giants are in a competition who can allow the most yards per carry against the run, right? The Giants allowed like 150-something yards to a 49ers team that was one of the worst teams in running the football. I know it's crazy to say because CMC is a 49er, but they have been struggling to run the football. They've really been using him in the passing game. Then they allow like 9.1 yards per carry the entire game against the Eagles the week prior. With that front seven, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Darius Alexander, Nacho, Bobby Okereke. I get we had the inside linebacker too has been swapped around so many times because guys just can't stay healthy in that position. But damn, not stunting, not sending blitzes, not getting creative on defense, just letting your guys play out there, playing off man coverages, soft zones, right? But even when you play press man, these corners are just not good enough, right? Because you're just allowing these quarterbacks to sit comfortably back there and expecting your front set. The coaching is terrible as well. But I have a huge problem with Joe Schoen. I think the biggest issue, it's hard to say actually, but I think the biggest issue, I don't think we would be in this position if the roster was a lot better looking, right? Of course, there are injuries that happen, but that's why you have depth. And I feel like this team, besides a couple of starters, is like, this team with all the starters is a decent roster. You take a couple of these guys out there, Malik Neighbors, right? Dexter Lawrence, if he gets hurt, Paulson Adebo, Javon Holland, you take those guys out, and this is automatically a terrible roster. They are relying so heavily on these top-heavy names to look good. But what happens when these guys aren't available? You have to be able to build a team top down. That's why a lot of Giants fans are always like, oh, we have 2 good pass rushers already. Guess we should trade Kayvon Thibodeau. That's such a loser mentality. And thank God Joe Schoen hasn't succumbed to that level yet. But you don't just trade away everything because you have a couple of good starters. You have to have depth. And the Giants don't have that. And that's why they're in the position that they're in. I guarantee you, even though the coaching hasn't been great, their jobs would have been made a lot easier if they were provided the right personnel, if they were provided the right talent, good talent. You're out here trading up for a wide receiver in Jalen Hyatt that you never utilize. That doesn't even fit your scheme. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. The Giants are trying to fool us into thinking that because we have Jackson Dart, we shouldn't have any problems. Because we have Jackson Dart, he will carry us to a Super Bowl. It will never happen unless you build around him. That's a constant mistake that teams always make. And sometimes a quarterback is that good enough to will them to a Super Bowl. Right? Look at what Joe Burrow did with the Cincinnati Bengals. Willing them to a Super Bowl. And that team is absolute ass, especially on the defensive side of the football. That defense had no business being a part of a Super Bowl. But quarterback is that good sometimes. But you have to build around him and build behind him as well with the defense. The defense has to be able to back him up. The Giants are in a bad spot right now. And although I feel like the Giants have their quarterback, we shouldn't be restless if Joe Schoen keeps his job. The Giants fan base should absolutely be restless if Joe Schoen keeps his job. Yes, I am calling for Joe Schoen's job. Everybody likes to talk about that draft. Everybody likes to talk about the draft we just had. But you guys aren't paying attention to how pointless that makes up for the 2023 draft. That is literally useless. That 2023 draft, we might as well have had no draft picks that draft. Because everybody's terrible. Top down. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. But thank you for watching this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.